people a voucher, okay? The voucher doesn't come anywhere near what
you're right.
medicine would cost.
And you always, one of your favorite things to say is Big Farm will never find solutions to most diseases anyway because it's not in their financial interests.
It's not. Think about it.
So
right now they sell all these medicines that stopgaps.
Yeah.
Okay, they're making billions upon billions of dollars.
Exactly. So I'm saying is you're saying that people want to come over here because the medicine is so much better, and yet all we are doing is
No, I said people come over here because this is where the research goes on. They have very adequate hospitals in France and in Britain and in Germany, okay, on a par with America. But the research goes on here.
It goes
Those
on.
hospitals depend upon the research going on in this country.
Well, not all the research.
And then there's also, a dark side to all this. And that is if you cured cancer, and if you cure heart disease, and if you cure ALS or Alzheimer's, people are going to live, because they are living, a lot longer. What are we going to do with those people? Where are they going to be housed? There isn't enough room in assisted living. There isn't enough room in nursing homes. There isn't enough room in hospitals. Okay, think of the overpopulation problem that it would start. Just like when there's a war, wars are terrific. You know why? Because people die. Yeah. That's why. And the world population goes down. It's always been that way, and it always will be that way.
That's true, that part, but how could you actually agree with that? I'm not saying you do.
I didn't say I agree.
I didn't say you did.
I said there's a dark truth to that, that side, what you were talking about. And that is that, by having disease and by having war, people die. And it decreases surplus population.
Well,
okay.
Well, that's true. It does, but at the same token, you've got a lot of kids who die because there's no cures to the same diseases that adults get.
Felix, I'm not saying that I agree with it or that it's right.
I know you're not. I'm just making a point. That's all.
People die. It doesn't make a difference how old they are. People die. Okay, and that's it.
I think there should be more birth control, personally, in this country.
You can't force that on people.
You can't.
Yeah, religion tries to do that.
Well,
they
force it.
Orthodox Judaism. It says the ecumenicals point in the Bible. God said, "Be fruitful and multiply." Well, that's what some people are doing. Muslims are doing it. Various people of ethnic backgrounds are doing it. You start to push birth control, African Americans will tell you, oh, you want to cut down the number of African American children that are born because we're becoming the majority. Latino, people are saying the same thing. In this country, the number of Latin Americans has greatly increased. Okay, the only peoples who have fewer children are Asian, or white or Caucasian.
But you think that's what the Hispanics are saying? We want to be, We want to multiply.
No, but Hispanics are are staunch Catholics. And once again in the Bible, it says, be fruitful and multiply. Okay?
It doesn't mean, I know what it says, but I'm just saying, but that's a problem. And I would, I think eventually...
Not according to them, because it also says in the Bible, God will provide. Okay? The only problem is that in this country, God is the U.S. government.
Well,
the more kids you have,
look at the millions of people that are starving already. So God is not providing, obviously. All right, so...
well, I don't know. He's providing for some. I really don't know,
Oh, I know. We don't have to know. We're just discussing it. But I don't see God providing for all the people in Somalia and all the other different countries in Africa where the kids are starving. The only ones that are providing are us and other people who help feed the children. That's
well, you see, there again, all you're doing is opening up a Pandora's box. Because who gives them money? The United States. Who takes care of their health? The United States. We don't ask them to pay for it now, do we? But we ask our own people to pay for the same health that we're providing them with, the health care. They get it for free, and we expect our people to pay for it. So where's the justice in that?
Birth control. Eventually it's going to have to go down to birth control no matter what.
You can't do that.
It will be...
Morally, you can't do it morally, Felix.
It will...
You cannot... China tried to do that. You cannot tell people that they're only allowed to have 2 children, and that's it.
And China has... There's been a lot of underhanded things, but basically China's doing it. They're still doing it. 2 children. Now, some parents do kill their kids because they didn't have a child of the sex they wanted, which is not right, But they're basically...
you can't go back to ancient Sparta, where when children were born, and if a child was weakly, or sickly, all right, they put the child on a mountaintop and let nature take its course. They would abandon the baby. Well, we're a moral people. You can't do that. Just like you can't tell people how many children to have.
All I'm saying is it's going to have to happen eventually.
In your opinion?
In my opinion, of course.
Well, it'll never happen. Not here. This country won't allow it.
It'll happen naturally because we're just going to run out of resources to feed everybody, and we will have people dying because we can't... The earth is overpopulated. It'll happen.
Well, did you ever read the book or see the movie Soylent Green?
Nope.
Well, not to ruin the movie for some people, because I know you're not going to watch it, but Soylent Green was a food that was made by the government. Okay, you know what Soylent Green was made of? Human beings. They killed off people, and they made food, and that's what they were eating, because there were too many people to populate the planet. That's like science fiction. Could it happen? I guess, like you say, according to you, it could happen, but like I said, morally, no. The country would never stand for it. Organized religion would never stand for it. Here's one time you'd have all the religions standing together. It would never happen. Because all they would do is point, since they're all based upon the Old Testament, they would point to the Old Testament in Genesis, where God said, be fruitful and multiply. Okay?
Don't say it'll never happen. Things happen. The churches are opposed to birth control. There's birth controls all over the world.
The church hasn't changed its opinion, though.
They're against it.
That's right. All they do is look the other way.
People don't
They
listen.
haven't changed this.
I didn't
They
say
haven't
they
changed
did.
their stance on
I
it.
said it's
Judaism, Orthodox Judaism is the same thing. Supposedly you're supposed to use the rhythm method,
all I'm saying.
just like
is,
the church says.
Yeah, people are not paying attention to it though. They're not. The church doesn't have any power to do anything about it.
What do you mean?
They can't stop people from using birth control. Catholics,
But the church has not come out officially and said it's okay to use birth control.
Of course not.
That's what I'm saying.
Of course not. That's my whole point. Is the church can say whatever they want, but people are still going to use birth control. That's my whole point. People are not paying attention to a lot of this stuff. Divorce, 50%.
Felix, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that eventually, people are gonna be limited to 2 children. All right, because religion won't stand for it.
Well, religion
and
doesn't.
There are still people, no matter what religion says, no matter what the state says. All right. They follow the teachings of the church or Orthodox Judaism or Islam, where, hey, be fruitful and multiply.
Fine.
And that's it.
Mark, the church opposes, divorce. Yet 50% of our population gets divorced. People listen to the church when it doesn't inconvenience them too much.
Well, the church also says that if you have sex relations outside of marriage, it's a sin, and you can't get into heaven.
And then probably 70% of women and men have sex before they're married, I would think.
Or even while they're married with somebody else, which is what I'm saying.
So what you're saying is that the church doesn't have the power to stop it. Okay, church doesn't have the power to stop the divorces. They don't have they don't have power to stop birth control. They don't have the power to stop a lot of the things that we do socially now that are not already accepted. And as you say, the church is going to have to eventually change with the times, which is what you say, right?
I've said that in the past.
Yeah. So, but the church hasn't been changing that much, so people just ignore the church about these things. And if they will eventually start changing with the times, then you don't know which way they're going to go and change. They may have no choice.
No, on certain things they can change. On certain things they can look the other way. Okay? Because that's what they do now. They know what goes on. They just look the other way. But if they want to keep church attendance high and people coming in and giving their donations every week or however often it is, okay, they have to change with the times. But they will not, it will never come to pass when they will allow government to say you can only have 2 children. That's much too personal because that affects everybody. If you have 2 people of the same sex getting married, it only affects those 2 people and maybe their families and friends, okay? It doesn't affect the average churchgoer or synagogue worshiper. But if you tell them they can only have 2 children, okay, that you can't do. And that's, it's just moralistic. What happens if somebody has an accident? Organized religion says you can't have an abortion. Well, what do you do with the child? Give it up? Maybe they don't want to give it up. So you could never have government saying that we have to limit population size. And if it ever happens,